I'm just gonna play little clips of what they're saying about each other.
You mean Dr. Umar Johnson, the man who has two children by two different women he never married? Dr. Umar Johnson, the guy who for the last 10 years has not built brick one of a school he's collected money from.
So there's that.
Some of them are so thirsty for validation that our black women, some of them are so thirsty for validation that they're participating. They're participating in the attacks and slander of the black female community, and that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable.
The attacks.
No black woman should ever subject herself, even for amusement, to another man's condemnation.
Another man's condemnation. So, all right. So here we got two different elements. Here we have a self uh, a self-imposed life coach and a image consultant, Kevin Samuels, and we have a I don't know what is professor psychiatrist or whatever. Dr. Umar Johnson. Kevin Samuels is also educated, although it doesn't say what his degree is when you look it up. It just says he went to school for 4 years. And he says it's in chemical engineering. And okay, fine. I'm not here to question that. But here's the thing. Kevin Samuels states a lot of facts that you can go and look up. So, without being biased towards any one of them, here's the facts. When Kevin Samuel says something, especially when it comes to numbers, he tells you where to go find the data. That is a fact. So when you're talking about uh, that women are being subjected or should not be subjected to another man's condemnation, they are not being subjected to his condemnation. They are being subjected to the facts. There are facts, there are data, there have been people talking about the same thing. It's just that Kevin does it with style. Period. Dot. There have been people who have been talking about this. Tommy Sotomayor, the reluctant Nabi, myself, and thousands of other men who have been talking about the same thing. But we all do it in our different way. I do it in a medical way. I talk about medically how women are being affected. Like I look up numbers that have to do with the CDC, and so does Kevin Samuel. So when you're talking about, it's he's putting this on you as in it's his own personal attack against you. It's nowhere near that. Go and look up the facts. Dr. Umar Johnson, we all have known you and supported you in one way or another. And Kevin Samuel said, you got money to build schools and you did not build one school. What happened to the money? This also is a fact. What happened to the money? See, this is why I don't listen to Dr. Umar Johnson talk. Because if I get behind you and I personally haven't given you money because I don't usually give guys like you money. But if I'm like, okay, I hear you, I see what you're doing, just like Tommy Sotomayor, I was ready to get behind Tommy Sotomayor, like, yeah, go ahead and make that Fatherless Nation movie. But what happened? He took the money and then he said he scammed everyone. Now, I'm not calling Dr. Umar Johnson a scam. What I'm saying is I'm very leery of people like that, especially when they tell people they're riding in their car, making a movie, and they're telling people to give them money, which is what Dr. Umar Johnson did. Give me money. And telling people if they don't give a certain amount, then, there's some type of, standoffishness that goes with that. And that turns me off 100%. Not to mention, you need to state some facts, Dr. Umar Johnson. Give us some facts that we can go and look up, and not just something that whimsical data. Give us something that we can go and look up. CDC, HMO. I don't care if it's local city government. Give us some facts where we can go and look up what's happening in our community. That's all I'm saying. This is the reason why Kevin Samuels has gained and garnered such attention is because he does not talk about particularly himself. He tries to leave personal out of it. He talks about the facts. Fact, women are heavier now than they were during the mothers and grandmothers' time. Fact, there are more fat women now than they are then, and they have gained, on an average, 40 pounds more than the women of back then. Those are facts, and those facts also are what's hurting women. Fact, there are more women who are committing adultery outside and going outside of the marriage and cheating than there's ever been. This is a fact. There are more women who are getting divorced and filing for divorce. Up to 80% divorce is filed by in the black community. It's filed by the woman. This is a fact you can go and look up. This is not somebody's condemnation. These are facts. You can go and look them up. We know marriage is public. You can go and look up who got married, when, and where, and how. Did they jump the broom or whatever? Because they all have to go through the city to do it. These are facts. Go and look up these facts. He's talking about things that are affecting the black community, especially when it comes to marriage. Okay, when it comes to a woman being married and how they can be married, how they can get themselves a good man. He's talking about how there are 2 million more women than there are men in the black community. He's talking about how the average wage of a black man is 42,000 a year. This is a fact. This is not whimsical data. This is not somebody's condemnation. He's talking about how women do not choose to marry these men who make $40,000 a year, and they choose to go after men who are high value and are way out of their scope and out of their range. And then he talks about how women go and get educated instead of getting married, and how men of status do not care about your education. This is a fact. These are all facts. The men, listen. If a man's making $100,000 a year and more, and a high wage, he really does not care too much about your education. He cares if you're fit, friendly, feminine, and he cares about your age. And your most valuable thing is your womb. These are facts. It is a known fact. Your womb is the most powerful thing on a woman, and that's it, and that's all. So, Dr. Umar Johnson, I don't know what you're talking about, and when you try to come at Kevin Samuels, but you'll never do it when it comes to the facts. You'll never win that argument because the man has studied the facts. He's researched them and he uses them in every single argument. And whenever a woman gets online and talks about her chances, he does it according to the facts. You're 30 years old. You're 30 years old. You have a child. Your ability to attract a high earning man, a high wage earning man has gone down because of your age and because of the fact that you already have a child by another man. Most of those men do not want to have somebody's child. They don't want to raise somebody's child. This is a fact. This is a fact because being a stepfather is not the greatest job in the world, although there are some people who are doing a great job at it. And they have money, Russell Wilson. Okay, there are some people who are just doing great at it, but look at Russell Wilson, look at his wife. I mean, the woman is a stellar beauty. So, yeah, he's like, I'll take this child on. Not a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because he's going to, you know what I'm saying? He married her. Okay, kudos to you, Russell. But most high earners do not want someone else's child. This is not a lie. This is a fact. Okay? He's talking about how most men, when they hit their high earning potential, is in between the age of 45 and 55. These are facts. Most men, when they're in their 30s, aren't hitting their highest earning potential. That's a fact. He's talking about how women, if they're fit, friendly, and fit, friendly, and feminine, how they have a better chance of getting one of these high earners, especially if their father and their mother prepared them to do that at a young age. And he's not talking about the age of 25. He's talking about more or less 19, 20. He's talking about how a 40-year-old who is established, well established, 45-year-old, well established, will come and snatch up a Hooters girl in a minute. This is a fact. This happens a lot. Why? Because those women aren't damaged. They don't have a bunch of coochie miles. They're not out riding the CC. Oh, okay. It's very important that Kevin Samuels talks about how these women are going around and sleeping with men and how their bodies are not made for that. It's just sleeping with a bunch of men and trying to be body yaddy yaddy yaddy. He talks about the terrible music and the terrible choices that they listen to and that they make and how it affects their children. These are all facts. This is not a one man's condemnation. This message has been not listen. Not only that, this message has been spouted way before Kevin Samuels. It was spouted by other women, telling you, women, what you're doing wrong. Listen, women, if you keep indulging in these acts, if you keep listening to these magazines that are selling you lies, then you're going to end up dying alone. You're going to end up by yourself. You're going to be a spinster. Kevin Samuels didn't make that up. He talked to people who wrote those articles in Cosmopolitan and all those other magazines that you see when you're trying to buy your groceries, and they're right in front of your face. All that bull crap that was fed to women, Kevin Samuel just simply is regurgitating the information that he has, and he's telling these black women, you have been fooled. Plymouth Rock didn't landed right on you. Okay, you didn't land on Plymouth Rock; it landed on you. So I don't understand how you can come at Kevin Samuels in any way, except if he gets personal. And I don't like the fact that he curses some people out. Okay, but that's his show. I mean, you got 5,000 people on your show every night. Well, sometimes it gets intense. That's his show. He's doing his thing. But I love the facts. And if you're not a person who wants to see your woman become morbidly obese, then, then you need to start
And what
speaking
makes the condemnations so ridiculous for me,
for
it's
you.
mostly superficial.
It's mostly superficial.
Most of the assessment is superficial,
Okay.
brothers and
Okay,
sisters.
how?
It's superficial.
How?
You weigh too much.
Okay, you weigh too much. Women don't weigh too much now. Women may weigh more than men. This is a fact. This is a fact. He's talking about a health issue. Oh, this is a serious issue. You've listen. If you look at the women now and look at the women 60 years ago when they were coming up, you'll find a big difference in their weight, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Some of you women can't even do anything because you're unhealthy. You eat unhealthy. What you watch is unhealthy. Your whole active life is non active, it is unhealthy. So, how is telling somebody that they are fat and they need to get rid of that fat a bad thing? I'm listening.
You don't have the right body type. You don't have enough education. You don't.
Right. You don't have enough education. A lot of times he's talking to men when it comes to that. When you don't have enough education. When he's talking to women and telling them that they don't have enough education, he's actually saying the opposite. He's saying you have too much education because you went to school all the way up until 25. You got your degree when you should have been looking for a husband. And the men who you were dating while you were in college, you let them go because after you got out of college, you figured you were going to go out there and do a whole bunch of dating. And you let the person go who should have been your husband. Once again, these are all facts. Most of these women had men when they were in college and decided to let them go. And now they're spinsters and they're by themselves. Let's keep going.
Make enough money. This is European standards.
It's not
This
European
isn't
standards.
African.
It's not European
That's
standards.
not who we are.
Okay, that's nonsense too. There's been in every continent there's been a king, in every continent there's been a ruler, in every continent there has been somebody who has the gold and they make the rules. Women always gravitate towards a person who towards an alpha male, the person who has money because why? They need to nest so they can lay them babies, they can have them babies. So let's cut that out. That is an African standard. It's very African. A woman usually does not want to mate with you unless she thinks that you can afford her children. What else you
And
got?
black women are subjecting themselves for this because they want a black man so bad to publicly validate them. They're taking a chance at
Wrong. They're doing it because they want a black man. Period. Dot. The women who get on those shows who are black, they want a black man. And they want a decent black man. I mean, they don't want no scrub. Okay, fine. But you're finding out that a lot of them who wanted a person to making 100,000, Kevin Samuel hits them with the facts. How many men, black men, make $100,000 a year? And once he hits you with those numbers, and then he narrows it down to your city, you'll find out that it's very, very hard to find a man that makes $100,000 a year. So a lot of women are waking up to this, which I love, and they're going, you know what? There's nothing wrong with the UPS guy. He's doing some UPS guys are doing 60, 70 a year. UPS gets paid. That's a serious hustle. So, when he talks about the facts of how many men are out there for one, then he talks about how many men are, or even in your city or in your range. What up, Race Gator? How many men are in your city, in your surrounding? A lot of these women have to wake up to the fact that they have to leave their city in order to find herself a decent man. These are all facts. This is why I don't understand what this guy is talking about. Let's listen to something.
being totally humiliated because they're so thirsty to have a black man publicly validate them.
That's not true. They're thirsty to have a black man. Most women are going to die by themselves. When you look at the rate of divorce and how these women are just letting their good men go, and how 51% of them are cheating on their man. No. It's a whole different story. A lot of these women are leaving the men that they're actually with. Why don't you answer some of those questions? I'm actually done with this video, but when it comes to the facts, I love the facts. I love the numbers. And that's what I hear from Kevin Samuels, and this is why people are following him. So there that is. And I challenge Dr. Umar Johnson, go on his show. Do a face-to-face with him where somebody can't be overtalked. Meet up. Here's the thing. Black people would pay to see you two go at it and have that conversation. And not on Kevin Samuel's show. Don't go where he can cut you off and all this. No, pick a neutral zone. Y'all should both get paid, and then have the conversation. Have that conversation. We would love to hear it. Period. Dot. Your boy Tone 202. I'm out.